Let's tour one of the most famous zoos in the world, the London Zoo. But this isn't a modern tour of the zoo, this is going way back to 1904, thanks to the restoration by Ralph the Stick. Zoos from this time are full of cages. Animal welfare wasn't near as advanced as today, such as the modern zoo, developed by Carl Hagenbach, would not be invented for several years to come. We arrive at the main entrance. In 1904, we may have arrived by horse and carriage. Cars weren't exactly that popular this time. The main entrance can be found right beside this road. It is rather simple in design with 2 brick buildings for purchasing tickets, and there is a shelter that's covered in these wisteria plants for shade. Lots of the classical brick buildings and iron fences immediately welcomes us into this classic theme. We'll find surely lots of this, as this is the historical zoo. On one of the pictures we can see all sorts of historical pictures of the animals, such as red pandas, birds, zebras, and more. You can notice these are not immersive naturalistic exhibits as we can expect in the time. Heavy use of concrete, so there's no paved paths, this is all dirt. We can look at a map of the zoo, quite detailed of a listed itinerary that we are going to follow this tour. The listed itinerary takes us to the right first, passing quite a rather large but sparse plaza. For some fun this episode, I'm going to add the animal species counter, because the historical zoos held so much animals compared to modern zoos. We're going to see how high a number we can reach at the end. We first reach the western aviary. A lot of tropical and subtropical aviary holding a wider array of birds. These are also, the birds will be static props used because we don't have any small birds in the game. But yeah, it's pretty much, you got dirt, you got some grass, and you got a tree in the middle. That's pretty much the extent of what we can expect to see in aviaries. Maybe a water bowl I'm thinking I'm seeing in the middle, but yeah, that's it. But yeah, there's tons of aviaries in just this one. The zoo has lots and lots of aviaries. Possibly half of all the animal species we are going to see are going to just be birds. The aviary keeps continuing. We're going to see around 16-17 species of birds alone just in this one aviary. We also have even more birds over here. These are more smaller songbirds. We'll continue on. We'll have our nice gardens of the botanical style gardens everywhere in the zoo. So we're reaching these monkey cages, I think. These monkey cages, I think, are just for Asian monkeys and baboons. We can notice the monkeys, they don't have a lot of room to move. Just a little mesh cage on a concrete floor. Not the nicest setup, but this was, I'm sure, considered this was like the thing of the future, was a concrete cage. Entering, I think, the central zoo at the moment. There's porcupines in a very large field, which is very, very surprising considering what we just saw with the monkeys. So the entrance was just up there, main entrance. So we're entering some rather nice historical buildings in this area. We should expect to see, I think it's the monkey house here. So we have a very lonely mandrill, I think. Just one mandrill in this tiny cage. So here we've got the monkey house. Beware of pickpockets is a very common sign we are going to see. This must have been a pretty big issue. Yeah, so we can see lots of monkeys in these cages. It's a bit more spacious than the baboon cages we saw earlier, but it's still a bit crowded. At least they have all these ropes they can climb up, I guess. So there's 3 central cages in this house, full of pretty much New World monkeys. So capuchins, sake monkeys, all other sorts. But there's not much stopping guests putting your fingers through the mesh. I know there is a few signs saying don't touch the animals, but I'm not a bit too confident with that. So here's some bats. I think static bats in a tiny little cage. We also got, these are props, these are the tiny kind of primates. So like slow loris and night monkeys, got squirrel monkeys in here. There's food on the floor. I'm sure a keeper will clean that up soon. So got all sorts of marmosets and pretty much small primates on the side, but yeah, these are some of the cages are very crowded. The last central cage has a bit too many monkeys for my liking. So we head to the monkey house, featuring all these tropical monkeys that they didn't think at the time they would survive in the English climate. However, recently in the zoo they did have a small monkey cage outside. Next to the monkey house we will see some lovely gardens, especially with the glass and brick buildings. It complements it very well. So moving on, we get to a more natural-ish style yards for birds, I think. This is part of the stork and ostrich house. Again, not that much space to roam, but there's a lot of missing species, I think. Empty cages, maybe. So we've got things like red-crowned cranes and flamingos, representing the diverse range of storks that the zoo might have held. Also some bustard pens, but obviously since there's not that many bustard props, they aren't featured in the zoo. Although I do have an Australian bustard, but it's totally the wrong species. Next up is the lovely looking ape house. This is called the new ape house, so it's obviously an improvement. Lovely design, but inside it's, well, questionable. So a lovely tile pattern on the floor, lots of large glass windows looking into the ape enclosures, but these are very, very small, despite at the time these were considered roomy enclosures. Especially gorillas, they've never fared well in the London Zoo. I think the very small cages just do not work. Because we can see gibbons, orangutans, chimps and gorillas in this. You got some climbing space, but not that much really. We also have a nice historical painting here. Showing what apes would have, what artists thought they looked like at the time. Obviously, some of the historical drawings of animals aren't always the most accurate these days. So inside, we head inside the Stork and Ostrich House. This is a two-sided building, one with storks, one with ostriches and their family. We've also got a nice model of the kiwi, very nice. So this is the stork portion that we saw the outside of. So like flamingos are representing white storks. After clipping through the building, we'll go turn back. So you got red-crowned cranes are representing a lot of the other storks. So Jaribu, black storks, saddle-billed storks, marabou stork, those are props. Cape-crowned crane. There's so many. I know, there's tiny little cages. You'd only expect to maybe see, 2 or 3 crane or stork aviaries, I'm sure, these days. On the other side, we can see the ratite family. There's some lovely egg display case. So we'll be able to see things like cassowaries, emu, rhea, and ostrich. The ostriches family, they do get some decent sized outdoor enclosures compared to the storks and cranes. There's a lot of ostrich species represented here, but we only see maybe 1 or 2. There's also some outside ones as well. But yeah, lots of ratites, including the kiwi here. Not sure if it gets outside at all, really, because it's... Well, no, this might be the kiwi enclosure. Maybe at night they let out. Weird, the kiwi get the same amount of space as all the ostriches, but it is what it is. Yeah, so we come to this is the southern ponds. Yeah, so we come to this is the southern ponds. This is a much better sized place for birds, I think. Decent sized thing for spawns. I mean, it's not the biggest, but compared to what we've seen, it's a huge improvement. We also come across coastal birds. I think these are all sorts of gulls. Coastal gulls would have been represented here. A nice enough pond for them, really. Yeah, so next up is the rodent's house. This is where the porcupines are part of. This is like an exercise yard for them. I'm not sure if it's just the rodents. There's the swines, the pigs also are nearby as well. Yeah, so there's all sorts of, there's like baby capybaras representing all these different rodents. And there's also the swine house, so see things like babirusa. We got warhogs. There'll be Red River hogs and wild boar as well. But yeah, it's more kind of outdoor cage kind of things we'll see pretty much. It's a brick floor as well, so it's not dirt like we'd see today. What we're walking on right now would be so much better for the swines rather than what the brick floor they're on. So we are on the southern path of the zoo. There will be nothing to the right. Lots of swans. There's many swan yards here. I'm sure there's a mutes there. There's the mute swans. So these actually move. This is a huge one. This is egrets, maybe? Snowy cattle egret? I don't know. Herons. Can't really look at penguins as well. African and king penguins. That's an interesting mix there. I wouldn't expect to see king penguins mixed with African penguins. Although it could be eastern South American penguins, the Magellanic penguin I think is. So next up we got our seals, the seals and sea lions. Not too bad a space for them, just a bit weird seeing seals on grass, I think. So we reached the sea lion pond. This would have been a performing pool. We can see this chair where the sea lions are performing tricks, I think, on the chair. Which is a bit old-fashioned, definitely. It's just odd seeing a chair in the middle of a pool, but... So around the sea lion pool, I think the habitat kind of winds around. It's quite a large enough habitat for them. Because we've got more sea lions here. So there must be quite a few performing sea lions. Yeah, it's still California sea lion. Nice that's a nice building there. Wonder what it'll be. So we've got some sheep, kind of like those standalone circular yards for sheep. I've seen those kind of things on a lot of zoo maps. Reading all the historical facts about these sheep, they did rather well in here despite just being a kind of stone and rock mound in the middle. With pretty much no privacy whatsoever. So there's more seal. This is the other side of the sea lion. Oh, they do have a little shelter in the stone thing, that's neat. But yeah, it's still not much privacy, it's just they can climb on top of the mound and that's it. So we've got another fantastic cage row. This is for wolves and foxes. Here we can see Arctic foxes, red foxes. And there's two morphs of red foxes, I think. A fennec fox. We've also got lots of canines here as well, so you got things like coyotes. There's two subspecies of the grey wolf, including the Arctic wolf. And you got dingo as well. On the left part, there's also lots of Asian wild dog, or the deehole. There's an empty golden jackal, because, well, we don't have any jackals. Or I don't think there's any pups either of them. Now we can head into this massive classical building. This is the Lion House. Including the lion cubs outside. I don't know if this is supposed to happen or these have escaped. But it doesn't look very secure for lions. But yeah, this is one of the classic sites of the historical London Zoo, the large lion house. Although it's a typical big cat house with a huge row of cages. There's lots of seating on the left to watch the cats. But yes, each of these cages is as big as the exhibit box, which is insane. I think a lion has the same amount of space as like a spider does. But yeah, so we've got lots of different kinds of lions. There's leopards, puma or cougar, and more lions. Tigers, so this is the Bengal tiger. There's also a jaguar. Another jaguar, but melanistic. The Amur tiger, or Siberian tiger. And the cheetah. Lots of big cats to see in fantastic sized enclosures. So head out. The lion house also has 4, I don't want to say large, but I guess it is, 4 large outdoor enclosures as well, which are rotated. So pretty much all the big cats can be rotated into these cages. Again, it's still not much, it's still a concrete base rotated into these cages. Yeah, also opposite the lion house we have these duck ponds. There's lots of swans and ducks located here. Yeah. Yeah, so the lion house continues. It's this huge lion house. Also got some ducks. This is the white whistling duck. White-faced whistling duck, I should say. So this is the last lion house enclosure before we head over to another house. This has got a nice big yard as well. This is the Antelope House. So it's pretty much the same kind of setup as the Ostrich House. Just a row of pretty small enclosures for... You got lots of antelopes. There's you can see there's the African buffalo. There will be possibly bongo, small. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's like the Nile lech. There's pronghorn. Obviously, these won't be the right species, obviously, but sable antelope. The scimitar horned oryx. Yeah, so a lot of rare, now extinct species, such as this picture of the quagga, have been held here. This picture was taken about 40 years prior to this recreation. I don't know if the zoo actually held any of these species at this point in 1904. But it's quite a unique thing that this house has held now extinct species. So got nice some sun. There's lots of sunlight spread through all the houses, which is nice for natural light. So this part, I think there's more kind of deer. Or Nyala, possibly. They get access to the big yard. Currently, I think there's some blue wildebeest occupying the yard. Decent, I mean, today this would be considered a pretty good size. For one species, I might add. It's you don't have multiple mixed species in that kind of size. So we're crossing the Central Gardens, lovely plants spread throughout. I think we are approaching the Carnivore Terrace, one of the more striking features of the Central Zoo. However, inside the Carnivore Terrace is not so striking. You got typical classic bears locked in concrete cages as usual. So we can see all sorts of bears here. I think there is a path up the top guests can access as well. But I didn't find the entrance, so I kind of avoided that. But yeah, you can see all sorts of the black bears, grizzly bears. I think there's quite a few brown bears here actually. Himalayan brown bear, of course, everyone's favourite bear to use. So that's all I think that's all the bears. It continues around because this is called I think it was the bear and hyena exhibit. Military band every Saturday at the zoo, yeah. I'm sure they would have performed in the big lawn that's just opposite us right now. So on the other side of the terrace we have, I think, the hyenas. Again, same thing, concrete kind of cages. So we'll have things like a spotted hyena, striped hyena, brown hyena, all sorts of hyenas. And I've got more bears here. I've got like sun bear, sloth bear. Yeah. Yes. And we have the final bear, the polar bear. This is definitely something I'm gonna say. You compare modern day polar bear exhibits to this. It's insane. Just this tiny little pool you can see, and yeah, maybe a couple hundred square meters of concrete. Obviously, the zoo themselves at the time said they didn't like this exhibit and it closed several years after this restoration. For a good thing as well. Next up is the Camel House. I think this is actually one of my favourite looking parts of the zoo with the clock tower behind. So we'll have two habitats for camels. We'll have the dromedary camel and we'll have the victorian camel. It's not a lot of room, but I mean, it does look nice with the classical kind of theming. At least it's not too overcrowded. I'm seeing about 2 camels each. So I've also got another bird cage here. I think maybe it's a raven's cage. I think I saw a picture saying about raven's cage, but I never. So we got the eastern aviary. It's like the western aviary, but we'll see more tropical kind of birds and endless row. This time there's a house though behind we can actually visit a bit later. But yeah, we're seeing things like hornbills instead of toucans. So this is the Great Aviary. This is an impressive aviary. This would do by today's standards, actually. So yeah, so you will see things like scarlet ibis, flamingos, maybe egrets, those kind of tropical wading birds. Next up we have the pelicans. I think we can see 3 species of pelican in here. I think we can see like brown pelican, great white pelican, maybe Dalmatian pelican possibly. Yeah, so we go back. We're basically at a dead end currently in the Central Zoo, so we have to go back. So the Eastern Aviary again, this time indoors. But obviously, yeah, concrete kind of mesh cages, the same kind of birds. Outside ones are a bit better quality actually. Yeah, because it's the same size of birds, but it looks smaller. So there's toilets over there, we're not going that way. So we go back to the clock tower. There's a bell here I think we can see that rings just before the zoo closes, it says. An effective way of letting everyone know the zoo's closing. So we're not visiting this lawn yet. Passing by the Fellows Tea Pavilion, basically for members only. So it's basically, yeah, kind of a tea kind of cafe kind of thing. Yeah, so the fellowship of fellows of the society. These are the members of the zoo. So a nice covered kind of It's like an early 19th, 20th century kind of tea pavilion, yeah. Nice enough. So continue along this path. To the right we'll see another sheep, Barbary sheep this time. Similar setup as the one we saw earlier, kind of the mound in the middle with rocks kind of spread about. And this pond which you see some ducks. These are mandarin ducks, I think, yeah. So it's a bit more temperate, this part of the zoo, there's not much gardens. Passing by the Llama House now. I think unlike the Camel House, it's a bit more crowded. There are 4 enclosures to this house, but pretty much the exact same size. Yeah, so this house is 6 years old at this point. We've got a baby camel, dromedary camel. I think that could be representing a guanaco, possibly. As we only have the llama and alpaca. So this is quite a large plaza here, so we got some more mandarin ducks, I think, used. Plaza, yeah, so there's a cage, otter cage. Not sure why it needs to be meshed over completely, but I know that otters may bite, but I don't think they're going to jump out at you. There's also the kiosk area in the central part of the zoo. This is probably where the main food area is as well. There is also camel and elephant rides. We'll come back to this a bit later. There was the itinerary will loop back to here. But yeah, so you can get Asian elephants, you can ride them. That's definitely a thing you won't see really these days. You know, because it's not exactly humane for elephant rides. In modern zoos, at least. And I know there are some zoos that do continue the practice. There's an otter escaped. Try to ignore him. Well, odd placed aviary, kind of just wood placed in the middle of the plaza. Yeah, so we've got some kestrels, small birds of prey. There's also an attractive classical building here. With civets, yeah, so things like a binturong we can see. Although a lot of the cages are quite empty because we don't have a lot of civets in game. Yeah, I think it's like 3 cages with binturong, so yeah. Or bear cat, as some people call it. Next up will be the small Mammals house. Another historical building. For this... No, this is a modern building, I think. Although we won't see... I don't think we'll have a lot of small mammals in this house, actually. We've got a lot of signs for them, but there's no animals present. Not even animal props. Yeah, so this is the newest building of the zoo. Not historical in any sense. Although nowadays, of course, it would be, but... Well, it's probably demolished. I'm sure. Small Mammals house is another kind of row of cages. We won't expect to see a lot of animals in here. We've got only one guy down there, but... And here we go, a very lonely meerkat. We will see a meerkats later on. This is not like it's not where the meerkats are present in the zoo. Yeah, there's not much to really see though. Most of the cages are just completely empty. Lack of small mammals, I guess. Maybe that's something I should take care of. Yes, we got raccoon cages as well. At least they got dirt, not a concrete floor, they got dirt floors, so they're living the life here. So we've got lots of birds of prey aviaries in this area. So right now we're looking at some kites. Although the props are more like caracaras and stuff. I know I do have quite a few several kite bird props. Would have worked well there actually. Yeah, so we've got lots of vultures. This isn't actually that bad an aviary for vultures actually. Decent roomy enough. I mean, it's still tiny for the vultures, but it's way better than those kite and kestrel aviaries. At least they got nice big poles they can perch on. I'm sure it's pretty important for a bird of prey. We've also got more baboons. We've seen these species of baboons back at those monkey cages at the start of the zoo. But yeah. Although it is actually better cages, these are bigger, like twice the size. We're also getting some fantastic botanical garden views here. We can look back, there's the refreshments building all the way in the distance. I think that was back where the kiosk was, we said earlier. We'll come to another entrance of the zoo. This is the south entrance. Again, pretty much bare bones kind of entrance, just a few brick buildings and a shelter. So we are in the southeast corner of the zoo now. We can see some pheasants here, the eastern pheasantry. So like this should be a Lady Amherst pheasant, there'll be Himalayan monal, all sorts of kind of game birds. There are also a couple of parrots as well. I think they're parrots. These last two things you can see in the very back, there's a few parrots. Or lorikeets, or something like that. We've got another large classical building here. We've got the... I don't know if there's actually anything in this pit. It feels like something like you'd put a Komodo dragon in actually, but... Yeah, so here is the deer house, or the wapiti, or elk deer/deer house. So we can see this is where the zoo holds their large deer. So you have the North American elk, you'll have red deer, large Asian deer will also be held here as well. I do like the rustic door design for this one actually, even though the deer still don't have that much room. Yeah, lots of red deer representing all the different kinds of large deer we can see. They also got a nice red deer representing all the different kinds of large deer we can see. They also got a nice, well, an alright sized grassy yard for them to exercise. So we have the combination of the reptile house and the tortoise house. The tortoise house is a glass house to keep warm. So the reptile house, this is the second iteration of the world's oldest reptile house in a zoo. And it features very, very small enclosures for frogs and all those other small reptiles. Of course we won't see any props in these are tiny little cages. Because these are using like the smallest possible plants and game for them. Inside we will see 2 or 3 central aquatic cages for large reptiles. So we can expect these things like crocodiles and alligators in this one. Possibly caimans maybe. Yeah, so we've got more kind of tiny boxes, just tons of them. Also on the side you got more kind of maybe more larger snake kind of enclosures. Here we have a ton of baby reptiles. Got some baby gharial. There's a few caimans in here. Just love to pet one, wouldn't you? Yes, there's all sorts of snakes. I don't know if there's any props actually being used for snakes. Maybe. Definitely not my props. There's no colour, there's no egg props in here. Just a bell rope. Well, I guess there's a snake in there. It's not exactly too exciting. There's just tons of more snakes. So it's got quite a lot of species in here actually, but we can't see half of them because they're not present. I should have got my reptile props out sooner actually. Okay, so this is the tortoise house, so we can see some giant tortoises. Okay, so this is the tortoise house, so we can see some giant tortoises out here. Not too bad, a yard to get to explore actually. Yeah, there's we can see things like the baby kind of turtles, there's the spurred tortoise. And a backstage we probably shouldn't be wandering about. Yeah, there's the sign, no guests. They never saw me, that never happened. Yeah, so we're passing the deer house again. We should be rejoining where we left off. Yeah, there's the wolves over there. There's the lion house. So we're back on track. This is the cattle run. A decent sized place for all sorts of bovids. So things like bison, buffalo, maybe some domestic cows maybe. Yeah, it's just pretty much a large row of cattle we can see here, opposite the lion house. We've got several bison, we've got wisent I think as well, we've got more buffalo. Again, no signage, so I couldn't really say what we're seeing. We've got some Highland cattle, we've got an albino bison, possibly to represent a white cattle. White kind of domestic bull, possibly. We got lots of waterfowl on this one. 3 island pond. Quite a few species of ducks. There's those swans again. I would have probably put the mute swan in here actually. So we would have a nice pond to explore. You can actually see something moving in there because it's all static. Because there's those other ponds we saw earlier. So we're on the other side of the lion house now. We're on the other side of the great lawn. I'm sure the central performance area in the zoo. Opposite the great lawn, there is the diving bird's house. Inside there's penguins trying to escape. I'll just let them be, you know? But yeah, this was originally an aquarium. Now it's a diving bird's house, so there's lots of diving birds, so things like egret, I think it's scarlibus, kingfishers or kookaburra, all sorts of diving birds. Inside, I'm thinking this is where the penguins should be. They must have made a daring escape while I was touring the zoo. But really, the boxing of this, the trapping them in the small habitats is really buggy. Animals will just teleport wherever. So I'm sure it must have been really difficult to get it working. So this is the dine-in saloon. This is probably the main restaurant of the zoo. Yeah, so a few tables in here, yeah, nothing too amazing really. Just a simple dining room really. Seems the craze is more tea saloons. There's a public tea saloon. Now, there was also earlier, there was the Fellowship tea saloon. This one's a bit more outdoorsy. So here's the Great Lawn. There's all these seats. People can have picnics, I'm sure. There was also the elephant rides and all that happening in this area, which we are back at the same part. Yeah, you can see there's these wooden steps you can step up, climb up onto the elephants. There's also, each one would cost tickets, of course. You don't get on these for free. But yeah, just hop on an elephant there and you roam around being guided by a zoo member. Quite the experience, I'm sure. It's inhumane to do that these days. Zoos really shouldn't be offering the camel rides, elephant rides. It's wrong with how animal welfare has advanced over the years. We've got another set of aviary in the central part of the zoo now. We've got the eagles aviary. So we've got lots of big eagles here, so very similar to the vultures. So we'll see things like stellar sea eagles, golden eagles, bald eagles, harpy eagles even. Quite a nice range. There's a condor, Andine condor as well in there. Right, so I think this is the South Zoo fully completed. We've toured all this area now. What we gotta do is we gotta go in this tunnel we're going to see to the right. Yeah, a nice classic themed tunnel goes under that road we started. So no need for a bridge, we got a tunnel instead. It's quite a good walk to the North Zoo now. However, our itinerary takes us past the first exhibits we're going to see. We're not going to stop at what we see first. Yeah, so there's like kangaroos we can see to the right. Kangaroo paddock, I think it's called. A bunch of kangaroos here. But yeah, we're not going to tour that area just yet. We're going over the canal. So there's a bridge that goes over the canal here. We can see all these historical canal boats, kind of low down boats. On the north side of the zoo, it's definitely, I don't think there's any gardens on the north side of the zoo. It's definitely a bit more natural with larger paddocks for birds. Which confuses me why birds get more space than the mammals. Because these are the crane paddocks, these are pretty big. I mean, this would be perfectly acceptable in a normal zoo. So things like, we got Stanley cranes of South Africa. So things like, we got Stanley cranes of South Africa. We've also got the Northern Aviary here. This is like 3-directional aviaries. These are full of owls, because I know these are my owl props. We got things like the horned owl, snowy owl. On the other side, the crane paddocks will all be found on the left. There's tons of them. On the right, we will find the winter quarters for the cranes. Because obviously not all cranes can handle like snowy winters and all that. Yeah, so the path continues, although it's quite a long path on the north side of the zoo. It goes on for ages. There's also the north entrance we'll come across here as well. Lots of entrances for the zoo. I guess being a city park zoo, it kind of needs all these kind of entrances for easy access. Yeah, more cranes. Yeah, so we've got the insect house. This is the world's first insect house. Same setup as well. Very much like the reptile house, we will see lots of the insect kind of boxes that have nothing in them, of course, because insects are tiny. There's also birds inside insect houses for some reason. I think we'll see some birds of paradise. I guess being a tropical house allows the zoo to choose for tropical birds. There's all these nice diagrams of the pictures of the insects we could see. Obviously we can't see any, of course. But yeah, the path continues on. We're not done yet on the north side. So this should be the last of the cranes. Quite a lot of crane species. Don't know if this is maybe some memorial, maybe a park monument. Not too sure. There's no info or signs at all, so can't tell. So we're coming up to the northern pheasantry. So more pheasants. This time we have much nicer pheasant models because likewise they're my pheasant models. So we've got golden pheasant, silver pheasant. All sorts of, like Southeast Asian pheasants, all sort of very colourful birds. Yeah, so the last, I think the path ends up here. It has to because it's going on for ages. So this is the northern stables. This is where the zoo kept their horses. So we have things like domestic horse, there'll be wild horses, there should also be some donkeys as well. I'm not entirely sure if this was used, like if these were like working horses and donkeys. Because there are a few pictures of like camels were working animals. So instead of walking all the way back, because I'll take another 20 minutes, we will zoom past the north side of the zoo. We can also get a view of all the historical buildings of the area. Very immersive, seeing all these houses decorating the map. I'm sure it does kill performance just a little though. Right, so let's jump back to the kangaroos. We saw the kangaroos before going over the canal bridge. Yeah, so there's kangaroos to the right. Apparently there's supposed to be small cats in this cage. I didn't see any at all. I think they're all inside currently. Although, I mean, it would have been nice enough to see a small cat. Unless it escaped, of course. So inside this large brick building, we have the small cat's house. Pretty depressing area, actually. You know, being a cat owner myself. So we can see lots of lynxes, we got caracal maybe, there's an insane mix of sandcat, palace cat and caracal, I think. That's not a mix I would ever consider. We can also see a fossa in there as well. On the other side we can come across the kangaroo sheds. Or just the cages for the kangaroos. I'm sure the zoo had quite a lot of kangaroos actually. There's one trapped in a box. Naturally. At least there's a decent amount of bedding in here actually. Not just a concrete floor for them. As this must be the Australian part of the zoo, because we can see like wombat. There are Tasmanian devils. And I don't know what that animal was, but that's just backstage. Yes, this is how you can see all sorts of Australian animals here. On the other side here, we'll get a better view of the kangaroo paddock. On the other side. Across this is the tunnel top as well we're going over. We should see some brush turkeys. Although we've got some peafowl representing their Australian brethren. The brush turkey supposedly make some elaborate nests in this aviary as well. So we're coming over to our final part of the zoo. This is still technically the north side of the zoo, as we have reached 300 species. A very impressive sighting. This is the Thars. I don't know what this is. It's a sheep of some sort. I don't know if there is a sheep called a Thar, maybe? I have no idea. So there's a refreshments bar there. We come to another very, very crowded part of the zoo. This is where the parrots live, in your traditional pet tiny cages. There's an insane amount of cages in here. I mean, great if you want to see all these kinds of macaws and parrots, but it's wow, it's so many of them. The macaws must have flew around in here possibly as well, or just trained just to nest on these poles. Nesting kind of branches things. But yeah, there's even cages up, elevated on top as well. A tiny bit depressing naturally. But first of all, we'll come to the Elephant House. This is where I'm sure the zoo's elephants were held, including the ones that would give tours to near the Great Lawn. Right now we can see an African elephant, a male African elephant occupying the yard. And there's even more parrots we can see. I don't know how that would work. If they could fly, I mean, I don't know why they didn't fly away. Yes, this is the Elephant House. I mean, the layout isn't actually too bad, it's just if they could knock down all those walls, it would be so much better. Because there's quite a few modern elephant houses like this. Just, not with tiny little enclosures. But yeah, this is where the elephants would have been probably fed and cared for after walking around the zoo all day as well. I think there's a rhinos there's a few rhinos in here as well, because there's a rhino yard opposite. So things like the white rhinoceros, the black rhino, Indian rhino, I think there's the Javan rhino as well. We got another elephant there. So that's one large mammal house done. There's quite a few more to see in the North Zoo. Of course, we'll come to another sheep yard. This isn't a circular yard though, this is kind of split up into two or three bits maybe. I do like this wood and iron fence barriers. Possibly the most impressive part of the North Zoo is the Canal Bank Aviary. It houses quite a lot of birds, very large. This would later become the Snowdon Aviary. I'm sure lots of people have seen the very abstract structure it has on the Canal River. But it was large, it was also a walk through, it's way better than a lot of the aviaries we've seen in the zoo currently. We have more sheep, I think. Yeah, we've got Dall sheep there. Not as impressive as the other sheep yards near enough. Also have some meerkats in here as well. This is where the meerkats actually stay. In these kind of sandy little cages. In these kind of sandy little cages. I think we can see some prairie dogs and burrowing owls as well. Next up we got a pond for beavers. Kind of a rocky mound. I don't know if that's where the beavers sleep in maybe. It's a bit ugly really. Yeah, yeah, a shallow pond for, I don't know, 3 beavers possibly. It's not too bad. This is where the smaller deer, so we see things like fallow deer here, and maybe there's more sheep as well. Ibex, down sheep. There's a small garden here. I think this is the staff office building here. Not for guests at all. We go around this nice eucalyptus tree there. Yeah, so we go on. This is the moose yard, except it isn't featuring a moose. I think it's a reindeer. Yeah, it's a reindeer being featured here. I don't know why we couldn't have moose in here. Maybe in 1904 there was reindeer in it. But yeah, there was moose present in this yard. Hence the name, of course. Now we can go into the row of houses. First up is the hippo house. It's not too bad. It's just the pool is, well, it's tiny. Especially if we're talking full-size hippos. For pygmy hippos, it would be fine. We've also got, this is the map of the zoo here. I don't know why this is the only place in the zoo I've seen that actually has this map. It'd be so much more handy if it was spread out, so we can correct our itinerary if one misses the numbers. This is the giraffe house. This still functions today. In modern day, the giraffe house is the only building that still serves its original purpose. It might have been possibly expanded, possibly with this the tapir house as well. They do get access to a smallish yard as well, not as near as big as what the giraffes get. Also got some map of the South America and Southeast Asia showing where the tapirs are. The old zebra house features donkeys and wild ass. Where it has the new zebra house, to no surprise, features the zebra. There are 3 species here. So we'll have mountain zebra, there is Grevy's zebra, and Burchell's zebra, I think it was. Yeah, so we can find the zebras outdoor here. A decent dirt yard, I think. So there's one. I do wish there was grass though in these kind of things. The dirt is, well, I mean, it brings the classical look, just a dirt yard with a tree. So here is where you can find our donkeys and wild ass. They can explore the outdoors. We got the giraffes as well. We must be nearing the end, because here's the hippo. See, it's huge. That pool indoors, that's tiny. I mean, really, really tiny. It must have just laid down in the pool and that was it, covered the entire thing. Are we done yet? I don't think so. We've got some more cages over here. Here we've got gazelles. So this is, yeah. We're missing some gazelles at the zoo, so we can see some gazelles. There's some dick. More gazelles. Obviously, I've got a lack of gazelle species as well. So yeah, this is the tour complete actually. We passed through the north, we'll return to that refreshments bar, and we will exit the zoo. This is quite a wonderful insight into historical zoos, showing how animal welfare has adapted over the years. Cages surely like this would not be acceptable at all these days. But in 1904, this was perfectly fine. This was the vision of zoo professionals, they thought this was great. Today though, no, it's not great. So thanks to Ralph for creating this wonderful zoo. This is a very detailed zoo thanks to Ralph for creating this wonderful zoo. This is a very detailed zoo that is massive. As we saw, it was like 360 species. That's an insane amount to see in one zoo visit. Thanks for watching everyone. See you next time.